For a better part of the past half decade, the Hyundai Creta has been like a default choice for most people buying mid-size SUVs in India. Pretty much nothing else launched has been able to match up to the Creta's phenomenal sales numbers. And then, its own cousin, the KIA Seltos, came in late last year to gate-crash the Creta's party. But Hyundai was of course working hard on developing the all-new second-generation Creta, which we saw first at the Auto Expo. Now the looks here might be polarizing, but Hyundai has certainly come a lot better prepared this time. So the quality is a lot more premium overall, especially on the inside, and the Creta also gets the best of Hyundai's connected technology. But more importantly, the list of powertrain options now include the 1.4-litre turbo petrol that offers 138 bhp and is mated to a 7-speed DCT. So is the Creta also a bit of a driver's car now apart from being a well-packaged product? That's what we're about to find out. But how can I not talk about the design first? Of course, that's the most talked aspect about this new generation Creta, and a lot of people think it looks similar to the Venue, but not exactly. Well, the DRLs sit on top like they do on the Venue, yes, but the headlights here are positioned higher than they are on the Venue. But I think the grille design could have been better, especially this line here. Overall, the silhouette has changed as well, and I think this is a nice looking SUV. Once you get used to it, once you start driving it, the design really grows on you.
The headlamp design is unlike anything else we've seen from Hyundai and looks distinctive with the triple LED setup, and thanks to the headlamp design, you cannot really mistake the Creta for anything else. Wheel arches feature strong character lines which give the sides a more muscular stance now, and overall, the new Creta looks more premium, like a scaled down version of a more expensive SUV. This particularly holds true when you look at it from the rear three-quarter, thanks to the sloping roofline and also the tail lights and the tailgate design, which gives it a more stately presence. So like I mentioned, opinions about the new Creta's looks are certainly divided, but it does have a more premium air about it now.
So being a full generation change, of course, the interiors are completely different. They've been redesigned from the scratch. They look a lot more premium, and these the red highlights here that you see for the AC vents, this is exclusive again to the 1.4 turbo petrol. The materials are very nice. This panel here, if you see, it looks like a soft touch panel. It is not, but that's how premium it looks, you know. The quality is really good. The fit finish levels are nice. The drive selector lever here, the steering wheel. Now these two together really make me feel as if I'm sitting in a performance car. It's got a flat bottom with contrast stitching. The paddle shift levers are quite nice and big and easy to use. The speedometer is a 7-inch display. Overall, like I mentioned, it really feels like I'm sitting in a performance car.
The panoramic sunroof is really large and perhaps is larger than what SUVs belonging to a segment above it get, and helps in offering an airy feel, though with just a fabric covering the glass, heat could be an issue in our summers. Another interesting addition is the air purifier that sits integrated in the central armrest and features a dedicated display to give you AQI information and adjust modes. The 10.2-inch infotainment display sits flush in the dashboard, and again fit finish levels are excellent, while the display is crisp and touch sensitivity is good. The 7-inch display for the speedometer looks good too and changes color depending on the driving mode chosen. Overall, the cabin feels more premium than the outgoing versions, especially the quality of materials used, and as I mentioned, the Creta's inside certainly offer the feel of a more expensive car than it actually is.
So now let's get to the juicy bit, the driving part, because this, as I mentioned, is the 1.4-litre turbo petrol. It also gets these dual exhausts which you'll find only on the 1.4-litre turbo petrol version, nothing else in the range, and these sound quite nice. The engine has a nice sporty exhaust note when you're really pushing it. So let's get driving. But before we get to move on, there's one more thing I really need to tell you about, and that is the voice command feature in this car. Hyundai tells us there's up to 50 functions that you can access by simply saying, "Hello Blue Link, open sunroof."
Opening the sunroof.
It works really well.
On the flip side, if internet connectivity is weak, BlueLink can take a while to respond. What's more, multiple people talking can confuse the system, so the person talking to BlueLink needs to be the only one talking while giving commands. Voice commands aside, the Creta is also equipped with Hyundai's party trick, which is ventilated front seats, and these work wonders for our weather and ensure you stay cool and dry at all times. There's a tire pressure monitor as well, integrated into the speedometer display, again a feature usually seen in more expensive cars. One of the new Creta's biggest highlights though have to be its connected features. You can live track your car's location remotely, geofence it, set speed limits, lock or unlock it, check fuel status, turn the AC on, start the air purifier and seat ventilation, or even start or stop the engine remotely. In fact, in what is a first, the remote engine start-stop function is available for the manual version as well. And many of these features are unheard of even in higher segments. In fact, while other manufacturers offer connected technology only via smartphone apps, Hyundai has gone a step ahead and lets you access these functionalities from a smartwatch app too.
Okay, so finally let's get to the driving bit, and the first thing that you notice about this engine is its high level of refinement. It feels very smooth pretty much throughout the rev range. It also sounds quite sporty when you give it the beans, and of course with 138 horses on tap and the DCT, acceleration is quite brisk. In fact, if I were to nitpick, I would have liked slightly quicker responses from the transmission, but then that's probably just the enthusiast in me talking, and I do think that most buyers and even owners of the previous generation Creta Automatic are sure to appreciate how smooth the transmission is and how quick it is to respond to inputs.
The Creta is thus quick to build speeds, and in fact power delivery is really engaging, perhaps more than most other engines offered by Hyundai in India. The turbo petrol also lets you cruise at triple-digit speeds without feeling or sounding stressed and sounds quite sporty. The Creta also gets selectable driving modes now, including Eco, Comfort and Sport, and power delivery and shift points for the gearbox are altered accordingly. You also have 3 traction control settings for conditions like sand, snow and mud, which should help by altering the power being sent to the front wheels, though this certainly is no 4-wheel drive SUV. And the turbo petrol being one of the higher spec variants, you get traction control as well. Again, Hyundai has upped the premium quotient on the powertrain front as well, offering features seen only in more expensive SUVs.
Now, one concern that enthusiasts in particular had with the previous generation Creta was that it felt well balanced in terms of the ride and handling package, but it didn't really excite or feel engaging, and that's something that has changed a lot with the new generation Creta, as this one definitely feels more engaging. The steering feels more responsive as well. There is better feedback, though there is still some more room for improvement, but now with 138 horses going to the front wheel, there is a lot of torque steer at the front.
Now this means you need to be gentle with throttle inputs around corner exits, especially the slower ones. But that apart, the new Creta feels a lot more confident around bends, even when chucked in carelessly, and holds its line well. It thus feels livelier to drive, which as I mentioned was not quite the case with the older one. And credit for this also goes to the well-tuned suspension, which offers a more confident feel now, be it in the hills or at highway speeds. NVH levels inside the cabin are well controlled at high speeds as well, and the Creta feels pretty quiet with very little road or wind noise coming in. The ride quality is good too, as the new Creta soaks up potholes well, though there is an underlying sense of firmness at slow speeds.
So there you have it. The 1.4 litre turbo petrol certainly makes the new Creta a lot more engaging to drive than I would have imagined. But it's of course not just the powertrain that makes all the difference, it's the overall packaging. This is a full generation change, so it's the chassis, the suspension and the interiors, the premium vibe inside the cabin, the high quality materials, the equipment levels, the connected technology. There's just so much going for the new Creta. Well, prices begin at 9.99 lakh ex-showroom, but if you want the bells and whistles, you really have to shell out a lot more. For instance, the turbo petrol here is offered only with the DCT, there is no manual, and it's offered only in the top 2 trim levels. This one here in fact retails at 17.2 lakh ex-showroom, and that is a lot of money, but if you like driving, this is the one you should be looking at.